Hey, I'm Siobhan, and I love talking about all the things related to freedom and personal growth. And I'm on a journey to redefine freedom on my own terms as I become the woman I desire to be. Each week, I'll share in real time what I'm learning as I do my inner work while creating a safe space for my listeners to feel seen. If you desire to be free and live a life that feels good to you, then you're in the right place for beautiful conversations that's going to support you on your journey to freedom. Welcome to the Siobhan J. Middleton podcast. Now let's start the show. Hey, welcome back this week for another episode of my podcast. I'm your host, Siobhan, and you already know I'm so happy that you are back again for another week. Okay, so before we get into the episode, do me a huge favor, and I'm going to be asking this for a little bit. If you have not done so yet, please take 30 seconds, if that, of your time and leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, a review of what you love about the episode. If you have questions, if there are topics that you want me to expand on, whatever you want to share, please take a few seconds of your time to do that for me. It really helps with the visibility of the podcast so more and more people can find out about it. And it just warms my heart, truly, to see what you guys have to say about the podcast. Thank you to everyone who has been leaving reviews. It warms my heart. I just love seeing it. So thank you. So please take a moment to do so. And again, I appreciate you sharing your reviews and what you think of the episodes. That is making me so happy. Okay, so on to my update for the week. And I know I'm behind. I know I'm late to the party. Do not judge me. But y'all, I started watching Bridgerton. And yes, it's 3 years old. And yes, I had no interest in watching it. But the way social media has been raving over Queen Charlotte, I'm like, what is all the fuss about? And I didn't want to just start watching the show at that point. Like, I needed to get to know the characters. So I'm like, let me give this a try. Y'all, I binged watched season 1 and I was all in. I'm like, I get it. I'm like, where's the Duke? Can y'all give me a Duke? Because, oh my gosh, the Duke, y'all. If you know, you know. And I just truly enjoyed it. So now I'm on season 2. I believe I'm on episode 2 or 3. And I'm enjoying this season as well. But I'm excited to get to Queen Charlotte. So that is a little update about my life over here. I'm enjoying Bridgerton. It is so good. If you are watching, if you watched, get in my DMs on Instagram and let me know. Let's chit chat about it. But don't spoil it for me. I'm only on season 2, episode 3. So don't ruin it. But if you love it, let me know. Okay, so on to today's episode, and I wanted to have a conversation about hobbies today because on last week's episode at the end, I started mentioning hobbies, and I was like, it'll be really good to just have a podcast dedicated to hobbies and how to find your own hobby, if you will, and then share some of my hobbies with you and maybe some ideas that can get your wheel spinning. And so I'm like, I don't want to just leave that there. Let's do a whole nother episode dedicated to it. So let's get into it. I feel like we take life way too seriously, and it's like we become adults and we forget how to play. And you remember, like, growing up as a child, we had all kinds of hobbies, whether you were a part of a sports team or you took dance classes, you played Barbie dolls like myself, maybe you collected things, played video games, maybe you made bracelets, I don't know, anything, but we had things that we did to play. And once we began working, and if you're like me, you started working at a young age. Like, I remember my first job was the summer youth program, and I was 14 years old, and I've been working ever since. And now, as adults, we have to work. We have to take care of our family. We have, other extracurricular activities that we're a part of, or things that are just more demanding of our time, where life has become so serious, like, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this. And we don't play. We don't do things just for leisure. We don't just take a moment to just do things that we simply enjoy, that doesn't have to be monetized, but like you do it just because you love it. And so I want to kind of have a conversation about that today and encourage you, as you're listening to me share, you start to think of some things that you want to do just because you want to do them, not because you have to do it, if that makes sense. So if you listened to last week's episode, I shared some of my hobbies, and so I want to reshare them again. If y'all following me on the gram, then you know roller skating is probably my number one hobby right now. And I'm going to share a link if anyone is interested in skating with like my skates, my wheels, and different skating things. So in case you're into skating and you're like, where do I start? I'll share a link, my Amazon link, which is an affiliate link, and you can check that out and then find some of the things I'm using. But anywho, as it relates to skating, I love, love, love skating. I go twice a week. I've been traveling for it now, which has been so much fun. And I even started taking skating classes with this guy here, Showtime. If you're in Cleveland, I highly, highly, highly recommend taking classes with him. I've learned so much already. And one of the things I keep telling him, I'm like, I don't need to know all the fancy stuff. I just want to be smooth when I skate. And one of the things that I'm focusing on, and my friend Brittany encouraged me to do this, is to focus on one thing at a time. And then once you master that thing, you move to the next. So when you're following me on Instagram and you see me post the videos of me backward skating, that's because I'm really trying to master my backward skating. And I have come a long way. And then also there's some things that I want to perfect. Not perfect because I'm not trying to be perfect at it, but I want to get better, right? And so that is one of my hobbies that I truly enjoy. I have friends, my skate friends, like we have such a good time together. And it's just such a vibe. So that is one of my hobbies. Another hobby that I have that I've had since I was 14 years old, and I talked about this in the last episode, is journaling. And that is a hobby because it's something that I truly enjoy doing. And I try not to just write about when things are like heavy and intense, but also just to free my mind about where I'm at in this moment. And y'all know, if you've been part of my community for a while, that I even created a journal called the Free Your Mind Journal. And I'll actually link to that in the show notes because I still have several of them in my inventory that if you're interested, I can ship that out to you. But that is something that I consider a hobby because I truly, truly, truly enjoy it and I love it. Music is a whole vibe for me. I'm always creating playlists. I'm always looking for new music. I'm listening to music almost every single day. Like, it's something that truly brings me joy. And I have an eclectic perspective on music. Like, I just like a lot of different things. And really, a lot of indie artists is something that I've been gravitating towards lately. Another hobby, which this is why I mentioned it on last week's episode, because it's helping me heal my inner child, but also is something that I'm considering a hobby as well, is decorating my home. And I'm always on TikTok, like Googling like ideas for small apartments and different things like that. And it's something that I truly enjoy, and finding things that like warm my heart, that brings me bliss every time I come into my home. And it feels good to like add something new. And one of the things I decided, I said, every time that I get paid, I want to buy something new for my home. And so that has been really fun. And then I've been looking like, okay, well, what are some things you want to upgrade? So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to paint. And I think I'm going to start showing you guys my home. I believe I am, as I'm doing these different projects because it excites me and I think I want to share that with you. But anywho, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to paint. So I'm also a plant mom, and currently I believe I have 12 to 13 plants, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not done. And this hobby for me is showing me how, as I'm tending to and nurturing my plants, how to tend to and nurture myself. And that has been really fun and really exciting. And if you want to support and contribute to my plants, you can always do so. I know some people have been asking for my Zelle or sending me Amazon gift cards, which I think is so dope. So if you ever want to do that, just shoot me a DM or email and I can send that to you. What else? Oh, and then reading. I enjoy reading fiction books and also nonfiction books. So those are just some of my hobbies. Oh, and one more that I want to add, and I truly, truly enjoy this. And I think this is very therapeutic for me. I love making body butter. And I've been doing it for years, and I finally mastered the recipe that it comes out perfect every single time. And so now that I've mastered, I don't want to say master because I'm not, but now that it's a really good body butter, I want to make some other things. And I remember back in the day, I had made some chapstick, and I've always wanted to make my own laundry detergent. So there's some things I'm going to get into, especially now that I can see like, oh, you really enjoy this. What are some other things that you can make with your hands? So those are just some of my hobbies that I'm truly enjoying that fill my heart up and bring me so much joy. And I hope by me sharing some of my hobbies that gives you like some ideas like, oh, well, I didn't think of that, or let me try this, you know? And it's never too late to find a hobby. Like you truly can start adding play to your life today as you're listening to this podcast. I really want us, as we are redefining freedom and living the lives that we desire to live, I don't want it to be so serious. I don't want it to always be focused on doing the healing work because that's intense in itself. And if you're like me, sometimes the healing work can get exhausting and you're tired and you're over it. So finding something that brings you some joy while you're doing your work is going to be so beautiful. And as I mentioned on last week's episode, it's a beautiful way to help connect with your inner child. And I think that we can all use a little more leisure in our lives so life can feel more fulfilling and meaningful. And it's not like we're just doing the same thing day and night and day and night. And it's just mundane and boring and stale. It's like, no, find some ways to add play to your life, okay? And I do not want you to say, oh, I don't have enough time or I don't have enough money, because some of the hobbies that I share with you have nothing to do with money, you know, like journaling, music, reading, like that, you know, that doesn't cost me any money. And I think sometimes we focus on what we don't have versus focusing on what we do have and how to create what we desire. You know what I mean? So as it relates to time, I think not to focus on, I don't have time to do this or I don't have time to do that. We make time for the things that are important to us. And I think don't even focus on the time, just focus on how can I bring more joy, bliss, and play into my life, and then let things unfold as they will. I guess when it comes to skating, I know there's specific days that I go skating, so there's a ritual there. But as it relates to journaling, music, decorating my home, my plants, reading, making body butter, like there's no really time frame to that. But because I want to play more and I want to have more leisure in my life, that doesn't require me to think about like a time to do it. It's just you do it when, you do it whenever. So in doing a little research to prepare for this episode, I wanted to give you the definition of hobby. And Google says, hobby is defined as any enjoyable leisure activity that we engage in voluntarily and consistently when we are free from the demands of work or other responsibilities. And I feel like we all need a little bit more of that in our lives, okay? A key to finding a hobby really is just something that you enjoy, something that you want to learn how to do just because it seems fun. And I don't want you to be rigid about it or hard on yourself. Just think about some things that whether you naturally like to do now or something that you want to try and do. So now I'm going to give you some ideas to help you get started in thinking about things that you may want to do. And this, again, is just a starting point. You can take a pottery class, maybe calligraphy, bicycling, cooking, baking. You know what? Baking is actually a hobby of mine because I really, really enjoy it. We bake cookies here. I like to bake muffins. I bake scones. If it's an easy, simple recipe, listen. So yes. Oh, and I bake an amazing chocolate cake. So baking is another hobby that I forgot that I had. Sewing, thrifting, reupholstering furniture. I have a friend, my friend Erica. That's one of the things that she said she wanted to start doing, that she finds so much joy when she watches it, I think on TV or she sees stuff on TikTok. And so that's something that she says she's going to try and start doing is reupholstering furniture. And I'm sure she's listening. So this is your reminder because you told me that's what you want to start doing. Gardening, maybe playing chess, dancing, or maybe even taking a dancing class. Gardening, learning to play an instrument, paint. Maybe you want to make your own soap, candles, maybe perfume, which that's another hobby. I want to learn how to make my own perfume oil. So I'll keep y'all posted on that. Makeup, photography, maybe collecting something that you love like dolls or little trinkets or what have you. So those are just some ideas to get you started and get your wheels spinning, like I said. And literally your hobby can be anything, but I really want you to take some time to find at least one thing that you can start to do, to add a little bit of play in your life that does not involve anyone else. And when I mean anyone else, like your family, because sometimes I'll typically hear mom say this, like, oh, I love to spend time with my kids and watching my kids play. And that's lovely. That is beautiful. And also, what do you like to do that doesn't require someone else, right? What do you like to do that's just for you? And I want you to take time to figure that out and then just get started. And I would love, 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 love for you to share your hobbies with me. Definitely, you can do that on Instagram by sending me a DM. You can send me an email. And then also each week, paired with the episode, I send out a weekly newsletter. So if you're not subscribed to my newsletter, you can sign up by clicking the link in the show notes. And when you get the newsletter, you can leave your comments on the actual newsletter and we can begin to have a conversation about it. I am so excited about this new platform that I'm using because it's going to help me begin to strengthen my community and connect with you guys, not just on a podcast, but also through my newsletter, and we can begin to converse and chat with each other. So definitely make sure that you're subscribed to my newsletter. Again, the link is in the show notes. As always, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to leave your 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And if you love this episode and you're like, man, I want to support Siobhan, I know she loves coffee, you can always treat me to a cup of coffee. 1, 2, 3, 4, however many you want to do. That link is in the show notes as well. Thank you. Every week someone treats me to coffee and I deeply appreciate it. So thank you. And don't forget to share this episode with a friend. Say, hey, listen to this and let's come up with a hobby together. I think that would be really cool. And yeah, sending you so much love and light, and I hope you have an amazing day.